This episode is brought to you by MYAVANA. MYAVANA is transforming the global hair care industry with a suite of products for customers, industry professionals, and retailers. MYAVANA helps to discover what products will work best for your crown, how to care for your crown with a plan and expert guidance. Consult with a hair care expert to find the best solution for your crown. Also for salons looking to transform and position their business for success. Companies that want real-time data and analytics on their target customer. Finally, for retailers looking to drive purchases across the products they offer. Visit myavana.com today. That's MYAVANA.com. Now, let's get into this episode. Enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to MYAVANA's virtual headquarters. This is Jasmine Bailey. I am the community manager for MYAVANA, and it is a pleasure and a privilege to have you back here in the virtual headquarters. Today, we have another special guest. This is my friend, sister, and I'm going to say best-selling author. We're just going to say that right now, okay? Dionne Nicholls-Germain. Woohoo!
Woo! I stand and agree.
Yes. When I was saying, I was just like, just say it, just put it out there.
It just rolled off the tongue.
I was like, it must be true. It must be true. Faith speaks before, right? So
yes.
Before, and we are so grateful to have you in your presence here with us today. So what we typically do is introduce people that come into the virtual headquarters space, and what we want to have everyone know is that this space is curated for you to be able to become your best and to become your best authentic self and to awaken the woman who you are and who you were designed to be. So we bring guests, we bring coaches, we bring experts in their field and in their practice so that they can speak to that woman. So if she needs to come alive and if she needs to be revitalized, recharged, refueled like we all do, we want to have this community setting for you to be able to know I can go there. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce why we have this beautiful guest in here today. So hang on to your seats, everyone. So Dionne Nicholls-Germain, she is also known as the Joy Coach, and she's a professional life and leadership coach. She's been inspired by her own personal story of reinvention, and then she founded the Live Your Best Life for You. So not live your best life, but live your best life for you. I want you to hear that, for you. It's a personal development and leadership training and speaking business serving an international clientele dedicated to supporting busy executives and entrepreneurs to reach their full potential and excel at home, work, and in their relationships. So see, that's the holistic approach. Dionne is also the author of, I will just put it in by faith, the best-selling author of the 90-Day Conquering Unforgiveness Journal for high-performing high achievers. There you have it. And you can learn more about this at the Conquering Unforgiveness movement. We'll give you more information about Dionne, but I'm just so excited, and I'm pausing because I know she has so much to share with you. And I am just so excited because one thing that you had on your website, I just want to share with everyone. You've left your 20-year corporate career in fashion, and you were a single mom at the time. And so you have this philosophy, and you believe that any woman at any stage and any age can reinvent their life. So that's your personal journey. So we just want to ask you, like, how can this happen? Like, give us the tea. What is that all about? Like, I know people want to do that, but then you say it starts with forgiveness. So I'm going to back up and have you just share, like, what does that really look like?
Sure. So one, I highly believe that if you're going to make room for the new, check your heart for any unforgiveness. So that's one. Whether it's a new relationship, whether it's the next chapter, we can't be carrying the weight of the past. So that's one way to look at it. You may have also heard this as well, that unforgiveness blocks your blessings, right? So there's definitely a spiritual aspect to the flow of what you want to manifest in your life. Unforgiveness gets in the way. And the other thing I'll add is that it makes your vision a little muddy. So if you want more clarity with regard to the vision for your future, again, check your heart. Where are you holding bitterness? Where are you holding, resentment? And start doing that inner work. So then it's amazing. Again, the more whole and healed you are, the more clear you are, the more clear your decisions are, the more empowered your actions are. And you can see why you start to get momentum and flow towards the direction you are going. And doesn't mean you have all the answers. I didn't at the time. So I thought I was going to be a kindergarten school teacher when I left my career. I loved my son was that age when he was a sponge, around 5, 6 years old. But it was right around that time, and this leads into my forgiveness testimony. But right around that time where I made that decision, his dad reached out and said, "Dionne, I want to launch a financial literacy youth program. Will you help me?" And at the time, we are not together at this point. And I wasn't a finance girl. I was a fashion girl. Didn't come from that world at all. He was. He worked on Wall Street and all that good stuff. But I paused and I said, you know what? It's still educating. It's still empowering the next generation, just in a different way. So if we're cloudy, if we're all pent up in negative emotion, we're going to miss the signs. We're going to miss the clues that we're being left. So because I was able to zoom out, I was clear, right? Because I had chosen forgiveness with my son's father. We had, unfortunately broken up by that point. I could see this as actually an opportunity, even a God moment, if you will. And as I mentioned, it is part of my forgiveness testimony that I did say yes to co-founding this nonprofit with him called Financially Clean. We've touched thousands of young people. From that, a 5-star rated podcast was born called Two Black Guys with Good Credit. Now we're touching people around the nation, even globally. I'm using my voice, which I always knew that was part of my calling. But my son is now coming and seeing us teach. He's seeing his parents who are not together, but working together to give back and do good, rewrite their legacy, put good into the world. Can you imagine? All because I forgave. And I had the clarity to see this divine moment. And then from that, there was so much rippling effects of healing and possibility that took place because I forgave and actually said yes to that opportunity. I mean, we were getting flown back to my hometown of Ottawa, Ontario, where we're both from, because we were asked to teach our program at our alma mater, at the Ottawa University. And because now I'm flying back and forth to Ottawa, where my dad still lives, where I was estranged. I was actually estranged from my dad for I would say over 30 years. I decided to actually reach out while I was there and rekindle and restore my relationship with my dad. All because I said yes and forgave. So the day we did our launch event, it was a big live podcast kickoff for the series at the university. I had both my parents sitting in the front row, cheering me on, which I had not had probably since I was maybe, 5, 6 years old when I did gymnastics. All because I chose forgiveness and said yes.
Yeah, and that's powerful because I can just imagine throughout that there, and you spoke and you speak about betrayal, heartbreak. It wasn't just a smooth, walk in the park for you. It wasn't something that you just said, oh, okay, I will forgive. And I think a lot of times when people see someone or they hear a story or they see their perception or their persona, they think it must have been easier for them to do that. But I don't think that's your case and that's not your story. So, one thing I wanted to ask is how does one begin facing the journey of forgiveness when they have such difficult situations? Because um, they want to live their best life, but there could be obstacles, and they're realistic obstacles that face and plague them. So, how does that work? And can you share some of that in some of your story?
Sure. So that's a great question because I didn't just sign up to want to help people with, no one just signs up for this, right? But I started to reflect on my life and started connecting the dots that the things that I actually had gone through were the things that were being used to actually grow me, to stretch me. Now, I didn't have all this language back then. I wasn't a coach back then. I wasn't as deep into my faith as I am now. But somehow intuitively I knew that for me to be able to create the life that I desire, the life of my dreams, that I had to forgive. Now, I didn't do it from a place of obligation. So that's one thing. I actually did it from a place of living out of my commitment. So it was a very empowered place. And that's a basically a very foundational part of what I teach in my program. So we didn't mention this, but it actually all started with a program I created called the Conquering Unforgiveness Mastermind. And then I said, how can I get this to more people? And that's why I created the journal. But I actually created a framework called the Dream Framework. And foundationally, what it really centers around is your highest commitment. So, yes, unfortunately, there was infidelity. There was even a secret child. But above and beyond the circumstances, I chose forgiveness because I knew what I was committed to. One, or I should say, first and foremost, it was my son's well being. Now, in my case, it was my son's well being. It could be something as simple as, you know what? My highest commitment is peace. And that's why I'm going to forgive, because that is my highest commitment for me to be in alignment with that core value, that belief. Then my actions, my decisions, my speaking, they'll all be filtered through the lens of my commitment. So that's what's going to help me either move closer to that commitment or not. It's a checks and balance, if you will. So for me, it was that my son would still have a solid foundation, whether we were together or not. And so that is what will, right, influence how I show up and interact. So that's why I forgave. I wanted my son to have stability, love, that unit, that solid unit, and he had that. We did it. We could take family trips together. I mean, the year my son was leaving for college, we committed to actually having Sunday dinner almost every Sunday because we knew there wasn't a lot of time left for him in New York. We did that. And this requires also just, my son's father, he's an amazing dad. So just, I want to put that out there. Unfortunately, when all of that happened, he's not who he is today, so we also have to meet people where they're at. And that's a big one too, being able to meet people where they're at. But yeah, this past Thanksgiving, my husband, which I was able to make room for, by the way, everyone, my MYAVANA community, I was able to make room for the love of my life. But my husband and I, my son's father, my son was back from college with friends, mutual family. I brought the turkey, like we can do that. So we had Thanksgiving and my son doesn't have to feel pulled. We can do the parent teacher conference together. Yeah. And we actually flew out Now he's a sophomore, but his first year we flew out together and got him settled into his dorm because I chose to forgive and live out of that commitment to his well-being, to have that joy and stability, all the things that kids need.
That's very powerful, Dionne. And thank you for doing the work and explaining the process, because I think a lot of times we think it's too hard, so I'm not going to try. But what I hear in what you're saying, you stayed focused on what you wanted. You stayed focused on the most important part of it, the highest value. And that was very important for you to be able to navigate the difficult terrains of forgiving. And what I love is that in the month of February, this is known as Black History Month in the United States. So I thought it was a beautiful connection for you to share about your book and share about forgiveness. While it may not be the entire Black family that you're talking about, at the same time, when you think about um, racial issues in our country, forgiveness is a big key. As forgiveness is a main component that both both parties, and I say not just color wise, I'm saying the person that hates and the person who's on the other side of the hate. Those are very important components. So what I'd like you to let us know what people would receive when they were going through the 90-day process. Because again, I'm speaking about Black History Month. You're talking about a family. Forgiveness can be done in any situation, in our families, in our friendships, in our work environments, partnerships, countries, all around. So this book and topic of forgiveness, it's interesting that you have international clientele because it's an international healing mechanism, forgiveness. So, what can people expect through that 90-day process? Can you share that with our community?
Absolutely. And just to give you a little backstory, the subheading of my journal is that it's for high performing high achievers. So this particular installment. And it was inspired by the execs that I was working with across nations. Right. I just kept hearing the same recurring themes from the point of view of they're just, as humans, we're just really hard on ourselves. We don't want to step up in the meeting or speak up because if I'm not 120% right, I'm going to ruminate and beat myself up for weeks. Or imposter syndrome, we know is, so prevalent, so rampant, especially with women. We're more likely to experience it than men. That actually forgiveness, it is proven, can mitigate that. So we can have a little more kindness and tenderness to ourselves that we're going to actually go for that promotion instead of hide instead. Because we don't think we have to go out the gate perfect or people are going to find out maybe, I don't belong here. So you see how I'm also looking to take this into the workplace. So not only transform cultures, around the world, I'm actually going to create a forgiveness movement, because what would the world be like if millions of people were forgiving themselves and others? What would there be more of? What would there be less of? I would think there'd be less wars. I think there'd be a lot more restoration among nations. So yeah, with regards to the journal specifically, it is a daily journal. My belief is, right, the habits you form who you become. And we can drill it down to the smallest granular and do that every day. It's amazing when you look back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, right? 30 minutes to create a habit, 30 days, my apologies, to create a habit, 90 days to make it a lifestyle. So I'm hoping to make forgiveness a lifestyle, which is unheard of, to make forgiveness habit forming. That is the goal. And so you have all kinds of information on what gets in the way of forgiveness, that there's different types of forgiveness, because some people, they get stuck because they think it's always, a hallmark ending. So by giving people options in my journal, there's myths to debunk, because a lot of times it's a misconception of what forgiveness is that gets in the way. So you're getting all of that, plus the daily prompts. So I've been a brand ambassador for gratitude. This all happened during the pandemic, and you can speak to this, Jasmine. We experience the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and emotional benefits of practicing gratitude on a daily basis. Now, in the morning, you're going to do some gratitude prompts, and there's going to be a forgiveness prompt. And then in the evening, you'll have some additional prompts around forgiveness. Where did I forgive? And maybe noticing, where was I held back? Right? Isn't it a great reflection, whether that's with someone else? It could be society, but imagine that clearing every evening, just taking time to reflect and get the lesson, or get some kind of, new distinction, awareness. We know all transformation starts with awareness. And that is one of my beliefs, that forgiveness is one of the highest forms of personal transformation, because it requires so much more of you. So I love what you said there. It's simple, but it's not easy, because you're going against natural instinct. So with my son's father, for example, when I first shared what happened with my close family and friends, they want to go key his car, what have you. But I chose to go against natural instinct. So that requires resilience. That's what builds resilience in you. Why you grow, why you expand, because it requires a perseverance to continue to go against the emotion, right? Feeding into the reacting versus responding. Do you see that? Yeah. So between the daily prompts, and then you'll get my 5-step dream framework. You'll also get some other tools. Something that's really cool is the emotional inventory, like getting clear on just how much mental rent is being taken up. What is it costing you? I mean, when we all know numbers don't lie. So it's quite eye-opening when you really get, when you start to know your numbers, as they say. So lots and lots of great tools in there that you can pull out whenever you have a breakdown, there's a challenge, etc. And then you've got the daily practice.
That's beautiful, because what I love is that when you said how much emotional rent are you paying, I was thinking, we do not want to be investors in unforgiveness. No, we don't. We do not want to invest in unforgiveness.
One stock, isn't that what they call?
Yes, like that's not where we want to put our money, and that's not where we want to put our energy and our time and our investments. No, so let's
I
pull out
love
of
that.
that.
The return is no good. No bueno.
No, the ROI, it's not what we're looking for. So when you said that, I was just like, yes, let's let's not put any other investment in unforgiveness. We're going to pull out all of our investments out of that stock market. It is not
Yes.
yielding good returns. No, it's not. It's not. Yes.
I love that. Like that
Yes.
right there. If like that alone can potentially just create the shift as to why. Because if you don't leave with anything else from this conversation, remember this: forgiveness is for you. It's for you. Yes, it's a gift that you can give. At the end of the day, it's for you. So you want to get the best return. Where am I investing my emotion and my time? Because if I'm disconnected, I can't be present because I'm ruminating over something in the past that I cannot change, that I can't be fully present here, whether it's for my purpose, my children. Where am I investing? Who am I investing in?
Wow.
I want that ROI.
I love that. Yes, exactly. I love how you just painted a picture, and what I am wanting you to offer to people, because if we're not going to invest in unforgiveness, we
Mm.
need to invest somewhere else, right? So if we're going to take our money out of the unforgiveness stock market, so to speak, or out of the stock exchange for unforgiveness, how can we invest in forgiveness? So with your movement, if you have a movement, I'm thinking you're on Wall Street then. Okay. So you have the NASDAQ, you have the numbers, you have gone
Yes.
IPO in forgiveness. How can people who need and are looking to get into a community, but they may just not have a community? I know you're going to be opening up the doors for a community for forgiveness. So share about that so that people can now, as they're withdrawing from unforgiveness, they can invest in forgiveness. And we need a community, right? So share about that, please. Yes.
Group economics. Let's go, because we want
Let's go.
compounding blessings. We want compounding healing, right? The
Yes,
seventh
we do.
wonder of the world, it applies to forgiveness too. We can do this all day.
All day, all day.
But yes, simply go to the conqueringunforgivenessmovement.com. So that's the conqueringunforgivenessmovement.com. You'll be the first to get the announcement when it launches. It'll be launching Q1, so before the end of March. There'll be a special announcement on the Day of Love, which is February 14th, since forgiveness is love. And the whole premise is, I want people, and I didn't even pick it up, but I want people to get the benefit of completing this journal. We know how it goes. We start a new habit, whether that's an exercise regime, it could be a new eating, you name it. We start out all hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden we fall off the rails. So the idea is to join the community where you'll have support, you'll have live coaching, check-ins. Again, Jasmine can speak to this. When we created it was a much smaller aspect of this, but it's what inspired me to use that model for my community. Is that we had a gratitude group. And we had the gratitude journal, it's daily. And all we would do every morning is share one thing that we're grateful for. And I cannot tell you the impact it had. And then we get on a Zoom once a month and just check in. And just the fellowship, the healing. Sometimes emotion was released, but it needed to happen for the breakthrough. I mean, the wisdom that was shared, it's powerful. And then we're sharing resources. So everything I just shared with you is what you're going to find in the journey, in the community. And then the only going to be different, because we never got to do this. It will have a live in-person event every year where we can come together.
That's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. So please share again where people can go to. You said the Conquering Unforgiveness Movement.com.
You got it.
Excellent, excellent. So you did say that you were going to do something, and I want to give everyone a surprise. So you definitely want to go to Dionne's site, because she is actually going to give away a signed journal. So, so what you want to do, and you take it away, just share with people how they will go to the Conquering Unforgiveness Movement.com, and then how they can sign up with your list.
Sure. The minute you get on the site, you'll be able to fill in your information, and by February 14th, I will choose a winner, and I will send out it's actually it's weighty. It's a hardcover, and it'll be signed and mailed direct to your door. So yeah, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
That's beautiful. As a book nerd, I love hardcover. So everyone go to her site and please sign up. I am grateful for my sister and friend coming on here to share about the forgiveness movement. You definitely want to invest in forgiveness, and we definitely want to um, give ourselves the gift so that we can give that gift to other people. So I am so inspired by your story, and I am grateful that I was able to see it in a way. I didn't know I was living out part of your walk. And when I say living, I was able to watch part of it as you were living it out. And just being able to see how you did intentionally choose forgiveness. And I could see sometimes, and I want to share with people. I remember, Dionne, you've always been like moving forward and forward thinking and forward moving. I could tell sometimes when we did get together, you were in a place where it's just like, I'm not sure. But I know now on the back end of that, you were choosing, like, I have to keep moving forward. And I know now it wasn't easy for you to do it all the time. But now I can see and say, everyone, by witness, the choice that she made allowed Dionne to continue to move forward even when it was difficult. So I really want to touch base with what she said with the decision and discipline and making her emotions come in alignment with her decision. Because I saw that sometimes it was just like she didn't talk about it because she wasn't reacting and speaking what she saw. And I can now see that's what you were doing. She was speaking what she wanted to see. She was moving forward. You were moving forward with what you wanted to see. So I definitely want everyone to go on the conqueringunforgivenessmovement.com. Sign up if you're looking to get into an invested community of forgiveness. So when it comes out, you are ready. And hopefully you'll be the one who gets the signed copy of her forgiveness journal. I was going to say unforgiveness, forgiveness journal, that 90 days, and go through the process for yourself, for people who are around you, your family, your friends, your loved ones, and even, let's say it this way, your foes, those people that do not like you, those people, that's who we sometimes have the hardest time to forgive. Actually, after ourselves, we want to have this movement, like you said, Dionne, which is so brilliantly powerful. What would it look like? We know someone who forgave. If you don't believe in him, but I believe in him, but Christ Jesus forgave and he turned the world upside down. So we want to continue in this movement of forgiveness. So, Dionne, before we close out this episode and this session with the virtual hair community, I want you to, in the way that I know you can, share with someone who may be still on the fence to say, okay, she may have gotten through that, but my story is a little bit differently. How would you just encourage or coach them to consider and think about going down the path of forgiveness?
Sure. I can't stress enough that it's for you. And when we don't forgive, it impacts everything. So, the same way when we do, we benefit mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. But when we don't, it negatively impacts all of those things. So, for your own well being, mentally, spiritually, again, I could go through them all. Start priming yourself, at least set the intention to start moving in that direction. It could be simply a prayer, it could be an affirmation, but at least start priming the heart because everybody's on their own journey. So that's another thing I want to, put in there. And just because you forgive, and this is, I think, the kicker for a lot of people, it doesn't mean what happened to you is invalid. So I'm hoping that helps someone, that it's for you. You thrive. You get to reclaim your power, your peace. Because a lot of times when we are in unforgiveness, we feel powerless. We're the victim, right? So the minute we start choosing our experience, we get our power back. And just know, because you forgive, it doesn't mean what happened to you didn't matter.
Thank you for saying that. So I hope that someone has able to have a door open for your healing in the journey and in the path of forgiveness. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you again for sharing this with everyone. If you can hold your book back up, please.
Sure. And please connect with me on socials. Am I in the right direction?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
there we go. IG, Facebook, LinkedIn at Dionne Nichols.
Yes, and we will definitely put Dionne's contact information in the description box. And please, please connect with Dionne and join the movement. I actually am joining the movement and I'm on the movement as well. So I'm looking forward to this, and we are looking forward to building community together. We actually are going to be opening up the My Purpose Driven Life Room. And this was the perfect segue to walk into. I'll be talking with Dionne to see how she can get into that room too, and possibly just sharing her information in there so that you can, again, connect with her in her space, and also that we can have her in the MYAVANA community space so that you can be a part of the movement, because we all need to be in that forgiveness movement. So until next time, forgive. And remember that ROI with forgiveness is so much more than anything that you will ever do with unforgiveness. So give yourself the gift, and others around you will be blessed as well. So thank you for coming, and we will see you on the next time.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye, everybody.